Hi there, it's me again, Bill Dunn, or some of you might refer to me as Dad or Papa. But another episode, I think this is episode 6 of my Storyworth project, where a few years ago I wrote a book with 52 different essays, all sent from the Storyworth service that gives you a question to write an essay about. So the one I want to talk about this time, the question was, what is the most scared you've ever been? I certainly have been frightened many times in my life. On some of the occasions, I was fearful of severe bodily harm. Most of the time, however, the fear was psychological, either fear of the unknown or fear of failure, which would lead, in my mind anyway, to unbearable embarrassment. In my freshman year of high school, my English teacher was Mr. Ed Byrne, and Mr. Byrne also was in charge of the school plays. For an assignment one day, he had the class write a one-page essay. I can't remember what the topic was, but I think he let us write about pretty much anything we wanted. The next day, Mr. Byrne announced that the class was going to the school auditorium. Once we were there, he explained that each student would go up onto the stage and read aloud his or her essay for the rest of the class to hear. I suppose he might have been looking to see if any of the students had some acting or public speaking talent for future school play productions. He insisted that our verbal presentation was not going to be graded. Only the quality of the essay itself counted, just as with previous writing assignments. But he thought it was important that we got a little experience at public speaking. Well, when he told us what was about to transpire, I broke out in a cold sweat. Go up on stage? Recite something aloud? In front of other people? I was genuinely terrified to the point of paralysis. One by one, the students' names were called, and they trudged up the 4 or 5 stairs to the stage and uncomfortably started reading from their sheets of paper. A few were fairly poised and confident. Most were exceedingly nervous and spoke so softly you could barely hear them. And a few others were visibly shaking and could barely make a sound when they opened their mouths. When Mr. Byrne called my name, I froze. I didn't move from the seat. He looked at me encouragingly and said, "Come on, Bill, it's your turn. Nothing to worry about." Still, I did not budge. Finally, I was able to mumble, "I never wrote anything." Mr. Burns gently said, "Really? You didn't write an essay?" And as he said this, he was staring at the sheet of paper with my essay sitting on my lap. I shook my head no. I could feel the walls closing in on me. Mr. Burns said, "If you don't go up on stage, you'll get a 0 for this assignment." I shook my head even more vigorously, on the verge of hyperventilating. At that moment, I didn't care if I got a 0 on every assignment for the rest of my life, as long as I did not have to go up on that stage. He shrugged his shoulders and called on the next person. A wave of relief swept over me. "So what if I get a 0, my brain triumphantly and silently declared in my head. At least I didn't faint or wet my pants or get humiliated. I think I was quietly laughing and sobbing at the same time. The ironic thing about this event is the fact that a few years later, Mr. Burns selected me to play the lead in a school production of Mr. Roberts. He had decided to put on this particular play in the spring of 1975, my senior year. The story is set on a Navy ship in the Pacific during World War II, and the cast required 25 males and 1 female. The drama department put out a call for guys to try out for the play, even if they had never been involved in any previous production. On a lark, about a dozen of us from the football team showed up at the auditions. We were promised we could fill in the non-speaking roles, while the guys with acting experience would handle the lead parts. When the auditions were over, Mr. Byrne approached me and said he wanted me to play the part of Mr. Roberts, the lead, the star, the character with the most lines to memorize and the most time on stage. At that point in time, at age 18, I was more self-confident, especially after being the football team co-captain the previous fall when we had an undefeated championship season. But I had never done anything like this before. I was excited and scared, and my burgeoning pride and ego stepped forward and prompted me to say, "Okay, I'll do it." Then, for the next 4 weeks, I was completely panic stricken. Two things helped everything turn out fine. First, I was so scared I spent countless hours memorizing my lines. I wrote and rewrote every word over and over, filling up a half dozen spiral notebooks until I knew the material cold. The second, more important helpful thing was the fact the play was brilliantly written by the great Joshua Logan, who adapted Thomas Hagen's excellent book. It was really funny and really poignant, and to play the part of Mr. Roberts, I just had to recite the lines at the correct time and maintain an innocent golly gee attitude. All the other characters provided the comedy and the drama. It's really a great show. If some high school or community theater ever puts it on in your area, you gotta go see it. I don't know if Mr. Byrne remembered my meltdown as a freshman, but during the rehearsals for Mr. Roberts, he was always supportive and encouraging. He never once seemed worried that I was not up to the task of playing the lead, even though I was pretty sure that that was in fact the case. All in all, it was a great experience. I've never been a part of a theatrical production since then, and I've never had any desire to do so. But at my job these days, I still get a little nervous right before showtime because I have to do presentations in front of clients and customers all the time. But speaking before a group of people is not the terrifying ordeal it felt like during my freshman year of high school. And here is a photo. This is out of my high school yearbook, actually. I'm the guy on the right-hand side there, the tall, skinny guy, Mr. Roberts. We actually had a real live goat on stage when we did that show. So anyways, that's this episode. Thanks for paying attention. Talk to you next time.